Hi guys, it's Norman Sutherland from Harrigan Lifestyle and welcome back to the channel. How lucky am I to live in a gorgeous place like this? But that's not what I'm here to talk about. You know what we do in this channel, all the kind of daft things that I get up to as a 50-something guy when I've got too much time on my hands. Well, today's project is again something a little bit different, something I've been thinking about and planning a wee while. Today we're going to be building a tot rod, a kiddie car, whatever you want to call it, a little car for little people. But not just any little car and not just any little people. The little car in question today is for my brother's grandchildren. They're only 2 years old, the youngest ones, and it's for them really that I'm doing this. And the car itself is something, well, my brother has always wanted one of these, a Mini Moke. So today's project is about building a Mini Moke. Should be a good one. Stick around, let's see how we go. So this is the basic buggy. It's an early powerhouse buggy. It's got quite small wheels, but the nice thing with this buggy is it came with twin 12-volt lithium polymer batteries. I've tested the motor and the speed controller, everything works well, so I think it's a good base for doing something with. I always start off on projects like this with a concept that I can develop into a design. And here, the main thing I was trying to understand is how I was going to have to modify the buggy to actually create that classic Mini Moke shape. Thereafter, I developed simple plans and templates so that I know what I'm cutting and what I'm changing and how I need to modify things. One of the things I like about this buggy in terms of modification is I know that I'm going to need to change the rake angle of the steering, and I think I can do that quite simply by carefully bending this bracket here, and it shouldn't affect the steering geometry too much. Now I wouldn't want to do that if it was a racing car, but for a kiddie tot rod buggy I think that should be fine. We might need to adjust the length of the track rod ends, we might even need to put a new bracket on the bottom here, but I think that should be fine and reasonably easy to modify. And a quick test to confirm that it works. Yeehaw! I've now removed all of the excess metalwork from the chassis so that we're right back to the bare, and I've ground it back prior to cleaning up the whole chassis and giving it a coat of paint. One of the challenges with doing a tot rod conversion on this kind of golf buggy is the fact that they articulate in the middle, and it makes sense if you're going around a golf course. Doesn't really make sense if you're building a car for the kids. So what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to weld it into a solid structure. I want it to be slightly flexible so that it can go over rough terrain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use wooden boards across the bottom to create some rigidity, and I'm going to fix them onto the metal chassis using riv nuts. I'm going to put them in just now and then secure the body, and that'll give us a lot less flex in the body and a nice solid base. I constructed the entire body of the Mini Moke from a single sheet of marine plywood. It's a great material, it works really well, it's quite durable. It's a bit more expensive than conventional plywood, but I really wanted something that was going to last. So then it was out with the plans, out with the pencil, marking up the plywood and starting to cut things out with my trusty saw. I've now started to build the bodywork for the Mini Moke. It's pretty straightforward. I've just made sheet sides and box section at the back, and I'm going to make a box section for the front. I also want to put the batteries and the speed controller up front to get some weight forward, because the weight at the moment is right up at the back. I've left the floor as a separate unit at the moment because I want to be able to lift the body completely off to make maintenance and things easier, and also for painting. I want to be able to paint the body completely separately. I've also just started to make up that front panel and to mark out, you can see the front panel really makes a Mini Moke. So happy with the way that's coming on so far. We'll just keep cutting wood. And I did keep cutting wood. After the slab sides, I built a box section to form those kind of classic sills of the Mini Moke. Completed that front end, and had to test the whole thing out for size. The only thing in a Mini Moke that's got any kind of curve is the bonnet, and I fashioned mine from aluminium around plywood formers. I then filled in the sides using light ply. It's one of the classic features of the Moke is that kind of panel design, and I didn't want to lose that. I think that's so much of what makes a Mini Moke a Mini Moke. To get the weight forward, I've put the batteries forward, right to the front of the vehicle. As a result of that, I've had to extend the electrical connection between the speed controller and the motor. So what I've done is to run a cable right along the bottom in protected sheathing that then comes up and will connect with the dashboard at the top. After completing the primary work underneath, the next thing I could do was finish off the top of the body and attach that to the base. I then fashioned some simple seats, a windscreen also made out of plywood, and just checked that I could still use the original base plate from the Buggy as a protection at the front end to keep little feet clear of the steering gear. I fashioned a simple bracket to provide some support for the steering column before shortening it using a pipe cutter and attaching a steering wheel, which my friend donated and he'd had lying in his garage for a long time off an original MGB Roadster. I wanted the Buggy to be able to grow with the kids, so I developed a very simple mechanism for allowing you to adjust the seat using some simple slotted blocks. Then it was time to go to paint. I painted the floor and the body completely separately, just maintaining that idea that I could lift the body off completely. I used 2 coats of undercoat and 3 coats of top coat to get a reasonable finish and good protection all over. The next thing to do was to fit the lights, which I had also run a cable along the bottom for, and to test them. I kept my electrical installation very simple. There's headlights, there's tail lights, and there are amber lights, which don't act as indicators, but I have wired them separately so they can be wired as indicators in the future. Next thing to do was to complete the battery and speed controller installation and ensure that the batteries were secure and nothing was going to move. To this end, I reused the battery trays that came with the original Golf Buggy. I also reused the hand throttle that came with the Buggy. Originally I was going to fit a foot throttle, but I thought the hand throttle was probably safer for smaller children, and it worked really well the way that I mounted it on the steering wheel. I used some materials I had left over from a camper van conversion to pad and cover the seats, and I was really happy with the way that they turned out, with the 2 separate backs and the padded and sprung seat base in that adjustable mount. It works really well and it looks really good. Then it was time for some finishing touches, graphics, number plates, etc. printed on the computer and suitably laminated, a curtain rail to create front and rear bumpers, and of course the absolutely essential spare wheel. Job done. So there we have the Moke, all ready to go off to its new owners up in the Highlands. And girls, I really hope that you enjoy it and you have as much fun playing with it as I had building it. Guys, listen, thanks very much indeed for tuning in. If you like what we do and you enjoy it, it's just a bit of fun, please do like and follow the channel and share it with your friends. I make no money from this whatsoever. I do it for fun, but the more followers I get, I do find it really encouraging. So if you can do that for us, it would be really appreciated. And in the meantime, whatever else you're doing, be safe, enjoy yourselves, and I will see you very soon on the Higher Ground Lifestyle YouTube channel. Have a good one, guys.